Good morning, Black Rock City, or good afternoon or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Hi, everyone. My name is Bryant Tan. I'm better known as Level. I'm the head of placement in Black Rock City. Really want to thank everyone for being here today. Looks like we have over 271 people joining us. We actually had 700 people sign up, so I think people will probably be streaming in late. But thank you all for joining us. We have a really action-packed day for you that we've been planning months for to help the camp community in Black Rock City come together, to learn, to network, and to burn better together. So I'm excited to host the day. I'll be your MC guiding you throughout the day. Because we have a lot of content, I'm going to save a lot of my welcome remarks and just kind of give you some housekeeping at first. First things first, please introduce yourselves in chat. It looks like some people are already doing that. We'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What's your camp? Where are you from? Let us know in chat. Feel free to chat with each other. This is a Zoom webinar, which means that you will only be seeing speakers and panelists in the morning session during this plenary. In the afternoon, when we have breakout sessions, you can join those. Those will be open so that all audience members and participants can see each other and engage with each other. So chat's going to be the best way to do that. And if you have a question during our panels and our chats, our presentations during the plenary, there is a Q&A function in Zoom. So if you see on the bottom panel, your menu, there's a Q&A button. Go ahead and click that, ask a question there. We'll do our best to answer those questions in real time. We may not be able to get to all of them. And some of them we may also be able to bring up while we're speaking. So use that function, use the chat to talk to each other. Be kind to one another. Remember, we're all here to learn. And so we're trying to be snark free, unless it's a fun snark. So I also want to point out an app called Sketch, or some people pronounce it Sked, or some people pronounce it Shed, or some people don't know how to pronounce it. It's a conference app that is available. You should have received an email to invite you to that. I hope that's working well for you all. There's also a chat function there if you want to actually talk to folks there. We'll try to send any important announcements through that. Of course, the learning continues beyond this day. And so all this is going to be recorded and shared with the community. It just takes a little time to edit and package for you all. But we will share that information as well as many slide decks as we can afterwards. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of breakout workshops that you want to join, don't worry, those will be recorded if you can't join them, and you're welcome to bounce from one to another. But this morning, the next couple hours, we'll be here together, all together in one space, and we have a lot of great speakers who have information to share to you to make 2024 an even better burn. All right, so I am going to just keep this ball moving. The first person we have to speak today is just here to welcome you as well, and then she'll be joining us later too for a fireside chat. I am very honored to introduce you all to Marian Goodell, who is our Chief Engagement Officer for Burning Man Project. So Marian, hi.
High level. Thank you so much. I've got a little frog in my throat. I hope I'm coming across okay. I am so excited to be here, and I'm excited to be really just welcoming everybody. It was super fun that I'm watching all the places people are coming in from level. That always just makes me smile so big. I saw Paris. I saw St. Louis, near and dear to my heart. My mom and my grandmother were born in Missouri. Nice to have you guys holding down the fort, and in the Midwest. And I just, I really have a profound amount of gratitude for the work that you guys do. I think it's really interesting to note that last year was a brilliant year, even before the rain, and it was so beautiful and the weather was so perfect. And then when the rain came, the best of all of who you guys are and how you create community in your neighborhoods showed up. And the micro communities were and are the theme camps. And I'm just very grateful that you all spend the time and the energy and the effort and the money, and you create the volunteerism in your own friends and family groups, and you bring such magic to the side streets, the main streets, and the esplanade of Black Rock City. So I'm happy to be here with you. Looking forward to a little fireside chat with Charlie and Level about some of the cultural trends that we see happening both in the organization and in the community, and some of the thoughts we have about what that might look like changing that in the future. So I'm just honored to be here with you guys. You guys do heroic work, and there's nothing easy about bringing a theme camp to Burning Man. So thank you, Level, and thanks everybody else. And I look forward to chatting with you in a little bit.
Thanks, Marian. Yeah, I'm looking forward to our chat later today as well. That's stay tuned. We'll get there in a little bit. Yeah, it was a tough year, and I do want to acknowledge the great lift that everyone did. We really recognize how much you all do every year to bring all the stuff, do all the stuff, and take it all away. It is not an easy lift, and so I really appreciate all our veteran burners who really find ways to teach newer burners how to do it right, and those who have never been in a rain situation out there, how to, what the right socks, Ziploc sock combination worked best out there, and maybe learn some things too. So I really appreciate, this is a iterative process that we all go through each year to dial it in better and figure it out better. So I hope you'll learn some things today that'll help you make the next burn go even smoother. So I want to introduce now Charlie Dolman, who is our event operations director. He's been at the helm for a while, and he wants to share some learnings that we've done. Every year, as you all probably do, we debrief and we're like, how did that go? Where could we have improved? How do we dial that in better? And so Charlie is here to share some thoughts about what we've been thinking in 2023 and what we're looking forward to in 2024. Charlie, take it away.
Thank you, Level. I'm a socks on the outside guy. I find that works for me. The only problem is that then you do lose the occasional sock, which you have to remember to pick up and take out of the mud. That's my take on it. Hello, everybody. My name is Charlie Dolman. I'm the operations director for Black Rock City. I've been doing this for about 10 years now, which is an amazing thing. And thank you all for having me here today. I'm really fortunate in my position because I kind of move around behind the scenes and I get to see a lot of different things. And so today I'm going to talk about some of these things and bring you into what we're thinking and what we're seeing and the things that we're kind of taking really seriously for this year. So I want to just jump on the bandwagon that Marian and Level did and just say thank you guys for what you do. Black Rock City is an amazing place. We all know that. And it's worth just saying again that it is that because of the community, because of what you guys bring and the effort and time and love that you put in. And so thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a beating heart, for collectively being a living, breathing organism. You guys really showed that in spades last year. And then second up, well done for surviving a wet year. I know some people needed to leave, and that's fine, but most did not. And as Marian said, the micro communities, the engineered solutions, the way that people fed each other really did make last year, for me, one of the best years in Black Rock City. And it's kind of not despite the rain, it's because of the rain. But also at the same time, it was a difficult year, and it really did show us a few things. So I'm going to talk about some of those things right now. So first up, there was some communications challenges. So I don't know about you, but I went home to see some family over Christmas, and I, sat down with family in Michigan, in rural Michigan, who said, "Oh, how did you survive the desert?" These are family members who've never paid any attention to Burning Man, but it spoke to the issue. And so what happened was during the rain event, we generated about 25,000 press hits in the first 24 hours from all around the world. And what happened was a lot of that information was not accurate. A lot of it was sensationalized, as I'm sure you are all aware. So what we learned is that we need to do better at staying on top of that narrative, at leading that narrative, at setting that narrative. It becomes very challenging to manage an event and for also members of the community to do what's right for themselves when there is a constant stream of people asking questions which are not accurate or making decisions based on information that is not accurate. So that is a really, really big important piece that we need to get on top of for this coming year. Related to that, you all out in the city doing all the things, being that beating heart, need better information from us. You need to be better informed about what is happening, about what we're going to do, about what our expectations are, or about what government agencies are thinking about all of those bits and pieces. And so this is a challenge that we're tackling head on. How can we improve the information? How can we make it more timely? How can we make sure that the two-way street is better, so that you guys have what you need to do the pieces that you need to do better. So we're working on that. You know, we all have things like BMIR, but even that process, there was times when the information was not accurate or up to date or was in the wrong place. So there is improvements that we can make, and our aim is that we all are sharing the same story and having the same narrative and the same information at the same time. So that's the first piece. That was a real biggie last year. Second piece I want to talk to you guys about is e-bikes. This is a more difficult thing. So we've been talking about this since around 2017. And I want to just first say that there are some really fantastic aspects about e-bikes. You know, the Playa has become a lot more accessible. People who otherwise struggle to get around Black Rock City can now get around Black Rock City. And, you know, there's some really big advantages to that. And at the same time, we also know that engines make it really easy for people to speed. And in some cases, they make it easier for people to run away from accidents that they have had. And we had multiple incidents last year where somebody would cause an accident and then just drive off. And in fact, a handful of those incidents ended up with humans in hospitals getting stitches up and down their face, having the person that caused the accident having driven off. And that is not acceptable, kind of anywhere in the world, and definitely not in Black Rock City. So we are working right now on kind of what we can do with that and how you guys can help us be part of that solution. And there's going to be conversations and communications coming out to you, but we're really thinking strongly about some consequences for people who are in that situation, who cause those accidents and then don't take responsibility for it. You know, what we're really looking for is just people to be safe and prudent and thoughtful of the context that they're in. Are you in the city grid? Are you on the open Playa? It's not that complicated. And what we're hoping is that within camps and within groups, you guys can all have conversations with your camp members and also work to hold each other accountable for that kind of for that behavior. So conversations are going to be coming out about that soon. But it's getting pretty serious. So we want to take that conversation to the next level. The next topic is an interesting one. I wonder how many of you had a visit from somebody in the organization or from the nonprofit came into your camp last year or the year before. And so there's a lot of reasons that this might happen. It could be somebody from placement coming to help you solve a boundary dispute, or from Leave No Trace Outreach to help you figure out how to better do the fuel storage, or somebody from FAST coming to look at a flame effect. There's a lot of different reasons that people come into the camp, and some of it's very helpful and very useful and feels very validating, like if it's the peers team. But I also know that not all of it is. I was a participant many years ago before I started working for the organization, and I did that for like 7 years. And in that entire time, I don't think anyone ever visited my camp. No one from the organization back then, and it felt fantastic. I was in charge of my own universe. I was free. It was great. And I can see that in the last few years that has kind of changed. So on the one hand, we've got this increasing number of visits, bureaucracy, for want of a better way of putting it. And then at the same time, it's become really clear to me that sometimes the visiting staff members who've come in to do a thing have not been kind, and they've not been curious, and they've not had their best manners about themselves. And at that point, those visits become intrusive and they become just a drag. And we really, really, really don't want this to be our culture. We want you guys to be in charge of your destiny. You know, we want to be able to, there's a nonprofit, we want to be able to support what you guys are doing on the ground. And when we're not needed, we want to just get out of the way. So Um, just know that that is something that we are working on internally, and our goal this year is to reduce the impact that the work that we need to do has on your experience in Black Rock City. And honestly, there's nothing more important, because as I said at the beginning, like what happened, the experience that you guys have impacts how you take the joy that you get in Black Rock City and how you take that back into the outside world. And our mission as a nonprofit is to spread the Burning Man joy. And so to do that, we need to make sure that you guys are really feeling good about it, because then you will take that away with you. So this is my promise to you, is that we're working hard on these things this year. And thank you all for the feedback that you provided that helps us kind of really see these patterns. So those are the three big things that are important at this particular moment. There are a bunch of subject matter experts who are going to talk about a range of other things for the rest of the day. And I want to say thank you for your time, and well done again for surviving last year. And I'm super excited for this year. And with that note, Level, I think I'm going to pass it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. That was a lot of information, so I hope folks are taking notes. Yeah, we're definitely seeing trends. We're trying to improve internally. The placement team is trying to do our best to make sure that we can be as supportive as possible. And we also know that we all get information from different places. And so, one of the things that we heard loud and clear last year was that people wish that there was clear communication from the org about when exactly they could start driving out of Black Rock City, how to let people know, let emergency services know if there was someone injured and if they had to try to get out onto the pavement quicker than most. And so all these things are things that we have been discussing. And so we wanted to share some of that with you too, about kind of basics of emergency planning, things that we're hoping you're all prepared to do, like bring your own Band-Aids and first aid kits. But also things that our emergency services department is prepared to support with as well. So I would like to invite up Precious and Kate, who are both from the emergency services department. Kate is the director, where is Kate? Who are you?
Oh, hi. Yeah, well, we'll just jump right in, huh, Level? Um, uh-oh, I've got another screen. So, I am now the administrative chief. I've been the chief of ESD for more than a decade, and I'm slowly backing away. I'm doing more of the administrative stuff and supporting the people that are stepping in behind me into my old shoes. And Precious, go.
Yeah, hi, I'm Precious, ESD Fire. Um, been working for Kate for decades now, and I'm also the liaison both to the art community, both through Art Support Services as well as through our fire art safety team. So we work with artists and all the amazing art pieces that get brought every year. And I also wanted to just give a shout out both to Level for organizing this, as well as for Marian for the welcome, and Charlie, um, because last year was a year like no other year, right? I mean, it's been raining up there in the Black Rock Desert for, I don't know, a million years and drying out. But last year was different. And so I want to tell you just a little bit about us as ESD, like who we are, what we do, but more importantly, what you can do. So first and foremost, under Kate's leadership here, we have about 600 people in our emergency services department. First and foremost, we're burners. We also happen to be nurses, doctors, firefighters, chiefs, paramedics, EMTs, psychiatrists, radio techs, and logistics folks. And our primary mission is to protect Black Rock City and our community. I want to underline our community. So we respond to fire and medical calls 24 hours a day, and we support artists, the Man in the Temple burns, which go on from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's what we do. More importantly, what can you do? And what you can do is recognize that, as many of you do, that Black Rock City is a harsh, remote, and austere environment, and we're there to protect you and our community and our life and property. First thing I'd say is that you could do is read and follow the Burning Man Survival Guide. It is an epic compilation of amazing things that you should know about. I also want you to know that you are the first responders for your own camps, right? And reading the survival guide prepares you for that. Now, I could have given this slide in any other year, except after last year, as Charlie said, and as we all experienced, what did we learn from last year? And so, first is that you are first responders for your own camp, right? Um, Black Rock City is a harsh, remote, austere environment on a good day, and we had a whole series of not so good days from the weather. And as Marian said, it created, micro environments where you couldn't do anything fast. You couldn't even walk fast, right? And so, cool thing was we got to know our neighbors, but we did get tested in new and interesting ways. And so, as first responders in your own camp, we'd say be ready for anything. And there'll be, I love when our organization put out the wet Playa survival guide on top of the usual survival guide. And so, key thing here is that we had to change up all of our operations. And so ESD, our emergency service department, fire medical, we may not be able to respond quickly in a similar kind of event or at all. We got super busy on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And this goes right to one of the 10 principles of radical self-reliance. Another key thing to do is that we learn to rely and depend on each other in really new and interesting ways. So I'd say keep track of your people and take care of your people. Know your neighbors, not just the neighbors in your camp, but neighbors in your neighborhood. You were great at sharing resources and knowledge. As we were running calls on Friday, we just saw amazing work. And I love our DIY community. I'm a fabricator and a rigger. I worked on 30 art pieces. It's amazing. And all that sharing came really to the forefront here, as Charlie mentioned. We'd say have a communication plan, and we'll talk about radios in a second. Check in often with your people. Know where your people are. The best part of our community is that we have a community that cares. I'd also say patience is a virtue. I don't remember, I'm not sure who said that, but it's definitely true, and that goes to the communal effort. And I would kind of challenge you here to say, in the off season, as we're preparing for 2024, what did you learn? And what did your camp learn that you will use in 2024? Meet with your camp, not just about how we're going to get there, but discuss, make a list, make a plan, and assign roles. So now I want to toss it over to Kate for where you can find us if you need us.
Yeah, so most of you probably already know this, but just in case we have some newbies here, we have 3 medical stations that are run by our ESD volunteers. One of them is just outside the keyhole at 3 o'clock NC, and the other one's outside the keyhole at 9 o'clock NC. The third one, which is the one where we have a more comprehensive clinic. It's where there's medications and laboratory and radiology and casting and the ability to throw somebody, unfortunately, onto an ambulance and get them out to a plane or a helicopter. That one is at about 520 and Esplanade. Each of those, by the way, are near the 3 o'clock and C ones are across the street from Rangers, and the 521 is just down the street from Rangers. So if you're looking for help, there's where you can find radios if you can't find one anywhere else, if you're looking to get somebody coming and come to your camp. Next slide. So things you need to know about medical. We do actually show up before Golden Spike and we stay until resto is complete. We have a real small team that does that, and they are mobile. They're not in particular stations because, of course, the stations aren't even built yet, right? So we do have those folks, and then the stations get built and they roll into being live. The first one that goes live is the one in front of the hospital, the one at 520 in Esplanade. That one, you'll have people there 24/7 starting on Tuesday of build week, the Tuesday before the event opens, and then they close up on the Tuesday after. But of course, we still have people on radio and near there and able to help you guys if you're wanting to go to a place to get some help. Just so you all know, we also have some mobile resources on Playa. We have 4 what we call quick response vehicles. Long story, ask me sometime. It's a funny one. And then we have 7 ambulances also. But You guys, hopefully you don't ever have to come to see us. I can tell you that about half of the people that come to see us in emergency services didn't need to come see us at all. They come to see us because they are not prepared. They didn't bring the Band-Aids or the moleskin or the tampons or the vinegar or whatever. And so they come to us looking for help with the things that they didn't bring themselves. What I would say to you is do what I do. You carry a small first aid kit in your camelback. You've got another one in your tent or RV, and then there are camp ones that are much more comprehensive that have more of those bigger items. There is a link here, and we will share this. We will share these links. They'll also be shared in the breakout session that happens later on with Epiphany. This is a link to the Burning Man site first aid kit list of all the things that we recommend you bring. This last piece, though, about consent for release of information, I don't know if you all know that we cannot release information about a person. It's their personal information. We can't tell people that a person is sick and that we've sent them to the hospital, or even that they're sick and they're inside of our tent or our building. We can't do that without your permission. You have the right to that kind of privacy and confidentiality. So if you are open to people knowing where you are, you need to fill out one of these forms, have them in a folder in your camp so that when you go missing and your campmates want to know where you are, they can come to a medical station and with that piece of paper in hand and say, we have a consent for release of information from Joe Smith or whoever. And then we can tell you if we've seen them, if we know where they are, if we know whether they've been flown off the Playa. So super important to fill one of those out and have a folder of them in your camp.
Great. Thanks, Kate. One thing about medical, it goes two ways, right? Sometimes we bring the medicine to you when we respond to calls, and sometimes you come to the medicine. You come to where our clinics are, and it operates symmetrically like that. Fire. First word of Burning Man, burning. We do some incredible things in the fire realm at Burning Man. I would say there's two kinds of fires at Burning Man. One, things supposed to be on fire. Two, things not supposed to be on fire. In the category of things that are supposed to be on fire, art pieces, the man, the temple, but only at a certain time. So as I show the temple here, that's Sunday night. Things not supposed to be on fire ever. You and your belongings and your community. And so we respond to a wide variety of things. And what we would say is come prepared with the things that could support you as first responders in your own camp. Things like very basic fire extinguishers, and we have a lot of resources out on the ESD page about what types, but typically a type ABC or a water can. That third picture at the bottom, we responded last year to a limousine fire, which happened to be right next to Mike Garlington's piece. So this fit in both categories. We responded to a thing that wasn't supposed to be on fire, right next to a thing that's supposed to be on fire, but only on Friday night. With the number of people we have in camps, and once again, I love our DIY community and the amount of expertise that we have. But as Charlie mentioned, e-bikes is a thing, and we responded to a number of lithium-ion battery fires, whether they were in e-bikes or various kind of other things. But in our world in fire, everything is fuel, right? That RV is fuel, an art piece is fuel, batteries are fuel. And you have a lot of fuel in your camp, and it shows up in different ways. It's either stored like in propane cylinders, or gasoline for your generators, or diesel, liquid fuels, or lithium-ion batteries is a fuel, is basically an energy storage device. So we'd recommend bring a fire blanket that would appropriate to the size of what you're charging. And we would say only charge your things, whether you're charging from solar or a generator, but only charge things with a lithium-ion battery outside in a shaded area, and away from any structures, and if someone can keep an eye on it. Because, I mean, I've got a 45-foot bus, I've got lithium-ion batteries, 1,350 amp hours at 12 volts, I've got a complex electrical system, and I keep track of it, and we're asking you to do the same as well and be responsible within, how you operate within our community. For propane tanks and cylinders, check the tanks, the valves, and the hoses for leaks before you get to the Playa. We'll come help you out, but we ask you to do those kind of self-checks. The other thing you can do is designate a camp safety lead. Who's that person who can go to if we have to come in on a call, that person is there that we can interact with. And the time for preparation is now, because as soon as we have an incident, the preparation phase is over. Now we're into the response phase. So while we have the luxury of time right now to prepare, we'd ask, just for everybody in the camp, make us a map of, doesn't have to be elaborate, but a map of the camp with all your hazards identified. Here's where we have propane storage. Here's where our battery charging station is. Here's where our generators are, etc. Communications is the lifeblood of our community. And it's not just for emergency services, but it's for the entirety of our community. We share information. And communications is a tricky thing, right? Because sometimes it's one to many, a la what BMIR does, or, to our community, or a la what we're doing right now on this theme Camp Symposium. Communications could be two-way. And one of the things that's interesting about our Black Rock City environment that's very different than the default world is, if we see something, we say something in our default world, but we can pick up the phone and dial 911. Well, here we don't have the equivalent 911 system. So if you need some help, generally it's, come to one of our medical stations or a ranger station or anybody you see with a radio, and we'll get help dispatched out to where you're located. But the other thing you can do is, on getting information pushed out to you, as we did during the rain event, a simple thing we'd recommend is have a wind up or a hand crank AM FM radio. This particular, we're not endorsing any models here, but this one actually has a flashlight attached to it too. So no matter what, you could run out of fuel, solar could be down, and you could still get communication on the most recent updates out of BMIR and elsewhere. We also are rolling out a program called BRC 911 Alt, which is available to all participants. We'll have this link available, but it's a way for you to get in touch with us, and we're trialing it right now with some of the mutant vehicles, relative to how you can call our dispatch and we can get resources dispatched out to you. Communications, absolutely critical, and particularly last year where we couldn't rely on just seeing people face to face beyond kind of the micro communities in our camp. Back to Kate.
Okay, I'll be quick about it. I know we're running out of time. So I want to go over really quickly the difference between Rangers and Ranger Green Dots and our crisis intervention team, which we pronounce SIT. So the Ranger Green Dots, they tend to respond to the more lower level crisis moments. People need some help. They need some support. They just need somebody to talk to. You can get a hold of the Rangers at any of their stations, at any of their outposts, at 3, 9, and at Ranger HQ, or wandering around, and they can always bring somebody in to help you. Our crisis intervention team is more focused on people that are having a more severe crisis. There are those moments where you're really worried about somebody in your camp having difficulty. You're worried about them hurting themselves. You're worried about them becoming violent and hurting somebody else. That's when you want to get a hold of our dispatch, and they will send out our crisis intervention team. We do have psychologists or psychiatrists on that team, and they can actually put somebody on a 3-day hold if necessary, or get them headed in that direction. Luckily, it hardly ever happens, but it has happened before. We also have a survivor advocacy team. They focus on sexual and domestic violence, and we have started, I think it was in 2022 or 19, I can't remember which one. We started a survivor advocacy center, and that's staffed 24/7 at that 515, 520 and Esplanade area. We work really closely with Zendo also. So this is another resource you have for your folks. They don't necessarily, if they're starting to have a psychiatric crisis or a psychedelic crisis, a lot of the time what they need is just somebody to work with them. And so these people at Zendo have all been trained in using psychedelic harm reduction to help people to not get away from the trip that they're having, but to actually be in the middle of it and move through it in a more graceful way. And so super helpful. They see hundreds of people every year, and have just been an enormous support to emergency services. And actually law enforcement has now started to bring them there too. So great resource. They're right next to our 3 and C and our 9 and C medical station. And then the last group that we work really closely with is the Bureau of Erotic Discourse, or BED. These do consent trainings, and or they work on doing consent information sharing. You'll see their posters at all of the potty banks, but they also do theme camp beducator trainings to help you as a theme camp to understand the components of consent and how to promote consent in the Black Rock City community. So there's a link there to their website, and they will come to your camp and set you up with the training so that you get all of your people dialed in around the importance of consent and how to promote it. Ron Precious.
So in summary, we thought this is the contrast. You came for this on the left, the community, the art, the creativity, our opportunities to gather once a year and kind of and be all together, recharge our batteries, and celebrate our culture. You came for that, but not this. And this is the inside of our Rampart Medical Center. So we're here for you, but we also need your help and we need your partnership. And back to Level.
Yeah, definitely came for the fire, not for the fire burns on our skin. So thank you, ESD. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Precious. We are just so grateful for all your help. I know a lot of that is powered by volunteers as well. And so really appreciate you keeping us safe and keeping us intact. All right, we're gonna move along with the agenda, and next up we have a really great fireside chat that I'd like to invite Marian and Charlie back up for. You know, as we move into the future of you know, not just next year, not just 2024 and 2025, but if we think about the future 10 years from now, we want to think about how we can retain what is Burning Man. How do we retain the 10 principles? How do we all have a role in the stewardship of culture in Black Rock City? And so the three of us are going to have a chat today to kind of dive into things that we're thinking about, trends that we're seeing, and ways that we want to bring the community along in this conversation, because obviously culture happens everywhere and we're all sort of makers of that. And one thing that we, just to remind folks about, that we engaged in from 2017 to about 2020, there's a process called cultural direction setting. And at that point, you know, there hadn't been really a gathering of the community in a way to think about the future of Black Rock City. How do we do placement? How do we do not just placement, but how does placement and the resources and supports that we provide help to curate the right types of camps? And how do we make sure that all these lessons are being passed on? And so, you know, we had a pause in the pandemic, obviously, for a couple years, and we're sort of back on track and trying to get this conversation moving again. And so, Marian and Charlie, thank you for joining me today. I know you both already spoke a little bit, but I wanted to, you know, kind of kick this off by asking both of you, you know, how do you feel about your own role in setting culture within the Burning Man community? And, you know, how do you feel like progress has been made or not in the last several years? So maybe, Marian, why don't you start? You know, what do you feel like your role? You're obviously the Chief Engagement Officer. So how does that in this environment?
Thank you, Level. I'm sorry,
You still got that frog in your throat.
something is frogging in my throat, and I keep trying to clear it. Well, you know, I think it was a very interesting year, and I think cultural direction setting has been a really great, very important journey. I remember Larry was even part of it before he passed away in 2018, because we really were listening to, you know, what is the culture of Black Rock City and how influential the activity of the theme camps, which are really microcultures. And then what part is the organization's responsibility to steer, and what part really do we want to decentralize and have the community steer? I think, you know, one kind of little nerve-wracking thing that I witnessed a couple of times this year, and I know we received it in the form of some complaints on some camps that ended up just being sort of in the crosshairs, is really what is doing it right and doing it wrong. And I think that that's a pretty important dialogue, that it's really clear sometimes what's right and wrong, and and then it's not. Certainly the conversation around decommodification is something that we're still engaged in. I think how people show up with their fun toys and what they do after the event, and the branding that's involved across the two, I thought was kind of clear, but I think that that needs a lot more clarification from the organization so that the community knows how to show up for that. Not just the camps themselves, but for the community to also be able to give the feedback. And related would be, what is right and what is wrong, just on a like in Black Rock City level. I definitely, and I don't mean that word like your name level, but in the platform that is Black Rock City, where we got a pretty crazy story of a camp that had been coming for about 13 years. And it's not the only one. It was just the guy took the time to download it, about how the kind of complaints that they got for their normal cacophony-like hijinks that they've been doing for 13 years, and they are in good stead with placement, but that the neighbors didn't like them, and that the Rangers told them that they wouldn't get placement if they didn't turn down their music, and that there was sort of a social provocation that was happening because some people didn't like their signs. And that terrifies me, because I go back to 1995, where we had the Aesthetic Meat Foundation, which was this insane scene where they had, horses or cow heads with the flesh ripped off of them on posts. And I was like, that is fucking crazy. But I decided I wasn't going to walk around in that direction. And I think that we really want to be super careful about Burning Man not perfecting everybody's opinions. It is a place to be, an experimental place. It's a platform for innovation. How are we going to try our stories, and how are we going to be ourselves if we can't just experiment a little with who we are, what our camp story is, what our art is about. And I think, I just saw it in a bit of ways where it was like, these people are doing it wrong. And then people would pigpile on them on the internet. Like, similar story right off of Facebook. People are still stuck on the Playa, and there's one camp that they're down, and everybody is on Facebook just saying what they've done wrong and how horrible they are, and they're still struggling to leave. So, the organization has a responsibility to help and define like how to be right or wrong. And I think the community has a responsibility to actually help be really patient and compassionate. And as a person in the organization, I want to take that lead, and I want us to, be better communicators in how we show up. And I think that that's the biggest thing I saw, is that for all of us, we got a world that's divided right now. Let's not create divisions in what we do for Burning Man, because we are sure the antidote to like the craziness out there. I want to be a better leader. I want to see a better Burning Man. I want to see a better culture. And I think we could all do it together. And I just hope we don't divide ourselves apart. I don't know, Charlie, what have you seen?
I mean, I think it's undeniable that this is what's going down in the world right now. I think it kind of speaks back a little bit to what I was referring to before, which is, from an organizational perspective, our theme for this year is it's not what you do, it's the way that you do it, right? We all need to have that create that opportunity in ourselves to kind of step back from that moment and respond, not react. Because we are getting bombarded with information that is coloring our perspectives and creating biases in it, maybe reinforcing some old stuff, maybe something happened in our lives, right? So we have to be able to kind of create that space and just go, okay, you don't know what's going on in someone else's world. You only have your own lens. So I've been seeing a lot of the same things, and I want us, Burning Man Project, to lead by example, so that when we're interacting with community members can pick up the same thing. So if you all as participants can lead by example, and we can lead by example, then together, like you said, Marian, Burning Man can be the great, Black Rock City can be the great antidote to some of the stuff in the world right now.
Related level that, Charlie, you just you poked a finger onto, and I was sort of reading some of the comments. when you look at the demographics of Burning Man and how we used to appeal to people from different parts of the world, before the pandemic, we were 80% American and 20% overseas. And last year it's 85. And so we've got more Americans and fewer international. And I really hope that we can find ways to, whether it's through, ticket distribution or camps, or really opening up ways we can help people that are not in America come. But the other one that I saw that does honestly break my heart is when I first started creating the census, which I did in 97 or 98, because I thought it was a shame that people in politics thought we were all of one type of person. And we had as much as 12% of the people self-identified as Republican, and in the high 30s as Democrat, and a huge percentage of decline to state. And what I kind of discovered over the years was the decline to state were people that were Republicans and were afraid to say it, because the way in which Burning Man shows up, it marginalizes people with different political views. And recently it was less than 8%. I think Megan was telling me in 5 or 6% that are Republican. And if we're going to change the world, and we're going to really show up in ways where, like, who we are and how we talk and how we create the conversations, we can't keep moving ourselves, whether it's around color, whether it's around politics, whether it's around parts of the world. We just have to keep opening ourselves up, really creating opportunities for other people to engage. And it's not just the organization that does that. We really, really want to look to theme camps to think differently, and bring in and welcome the folks that might be a little different than you are.
I got a thing to add on to that, Marian. This kind of changing demographic. We are seeing our population is getting older, and we really want to kind of open up Black Rock City to younger people, and have younger people feel welcome and feel like they can be part of the community. And I think one of the hurdles to that is this idea that when you come to Black Rock City, you've got to have these big flashy camps, or you've got to be part of a camp. And as you pointed out the other day, you don't. It's just you're going camping with some buddies. You can bring the camping gear that you would take to the forest, maybe modified a little bit to keep the dust out of the tent, but you can take that camping gear and you can come, and your offering can be small, modest. It can be sock puppets. It can be whatever you want. There's no need to engage at this very high kind of financial, physical, time, money, effort level. That is for many people a barrier to entry. So we should be welcoming not just of people of all persuasions, but people who are bringing different things as well, and kind of really celebrating when folks come and bring something that is maybe not the biggest and shiniest thing on the block.
What about you, Level?
I mean, it's interesting. I think people turn to placement a lot of times to report things too, to say, hey, that camp's doing it wrong, this camp's doing it right. And so that's kind of spinning through my mind. We think about, obviously, the types of camps that are coming in too. I'll talk a little bit more about that later today. But, I think I want to encourage the community to think about, how do you reach out beyond your own friend group, beyond the people that you see every day. Of course, that's a fantastic core to start with, but not only in terms of your camp membership, but also in Black Rock City, how do you make it clear to people that you are welcoming and engaging? And sometimes that might feel like you need to send certain messages and have certain signs up. But sometimes it's about, sort of being hidden, but also still welcoming. I know a lot of people love Golden Guy Alley. They don't really want to be found, and so they don't have street frontage. But once you find them, it's a joy, right? And I think that seeing things at face value, to see a bunch of cars lined up and assuming that they're, one thing or another, isn't what we're encouraging. We're encouraging engagement. We're encouraging exploration. We're encouraging people to engage with one another. And so it's both about kind of opening your doors in Black Rock City, but also opening your doors into your home. How do you invite the stranger in? That's one of the principles that I love when I first started going to Burning Man about radical inclusion, is welcoming the stranger. How do you make that apparent to people? And how do you also check yourself and your own biases at the door before you enter? So I think that's work that we are, trying to encourage the community to talk about. There's a lot of folks that know how to do this and do it well. And I think part of today is to sort of explore those dynamics as well with each other. I do have a question. I'm curious, I think there are folks who want the org to do more, like go get them, right? And I think we're sort of also saying, hey, it's not totally our responsibility. How do you both feel like people should show up, both in their camps or even just as individuals, if they feel like someone is maybe not following the 10 principles, if they're feeling like a camp is not sort of doing it right? How would you suggest that they sort of operate and engage with that camp or those group of people, or not? I know sometimes, and in your example of the pig heads.
Well, I think there's, yeah, I think that that's a really, really beautiful question, because if we just rely on the organization to receive a doing it wrong at email at the end of the event, there's no opportunity for teaching during the event. And if we just go to find the placement person or the OSS person or a ranger to go give someone the story, we're not really behaving like a community. We've allowed the organization to take on the role of a government or a policing nation and a policing state. And we just don't want that. One of the reasons why it was super hard to make decisions about whether we were going to happen in 2021 was the fact that if we were to happen in 2021, did we want to be a police state making sure everybody was vaccinated? Like, that's a huge principle. A huge principle and value for me is not to encourage the organization to do all of the work to create the community. It's just this interesting dynamic tension. So in the story of the one camp that, the guy he's like a punk rocker, okay? Lives down the desert in Southern California with a lot of tattoos and a t-shirt and rolling his own cigarette, saying to me, this was the first time he kind of didn't feel welcome at Burning Man anymore, because he felt like the Rangers were against him. He felt like another theme camp that had a principled issue was against him, and his neighbors were against him. And there was even an org camp nearby that was ironically fighting with them because their music was loud. And I was like, what a moment for everybody to actually have a different kind of conversation, because the sign that was in their camp actually had real meaning, real personal meaning to some of the campmates, and people didn't want to hear the meaning. They didn't want to hear the story. And I hear that over and over and over again. Particularly this past year, is so easy to just complain and point your finger and go get placement and say that whatever is happening. And I know it's intimidating. It's hard. We've come out of the pandemic, and I think we still feel a little scared. We're still in our little, like, I feel better protecting myself, and I use the internet, and, I feel anonymous on Reddit and whatever else. Burning Man is just the opposite. Proximity and being with together is exactly what it's supposed to be, helping make our lives more transformative. So I have been there for a long time, 1995. And I remember when a camp really far away was making a whole lot of noisy music, and they were pretty far away. I remember we took a gin and tonic. My boyfriend and I each took a gin and tonic, and we took an extra gin and tonic, and we walked over there because their new noise was just like super noisy. It wasn't even music. I'll think of the name of the group sometime. A bunch of people might remember them. And I took a gin and tonic over. And frankly, I never asked them to turn down their music. I just understood who they were, right? Because eventually they turn it down to go to sleep themselves. And I gave the guy a gin and tonic, and he starts telling me his story and all about his art. I was like, you know what? That's his thing. And I can deal with my thing, and I can go walk away. Now, when things are super serious, yes, the Rangers or placement or whatever want to get involved. But I think that there's still a lot of work we can do person to person, stopping by with the cookies, even though they're pissing you the fuck off. Stop by with your, Bloody Mary the next morning and just say hi. And that's sometimes all someone needs to, they didn't know that you had a baby next door that couldn't sleep all night, We just got to be people level. We just got to show up really authentically with each other, and not look to the org and not write in bad emails, and just do this together, because crying out loud, everything around us is just so hard. It's hard to live, and Burning Man is the place where we really want to be our magical selves.
Charlie, I know you mentioned in your talk earlier about e-bikes and how we show up as a culture around that. I'm kind of curious, we've been hesitant to, I think there was a question in the Q&A, like, are you going to ban them finally? and we're not. And I'm curious how, the thinking behind why, we want people to help with just being nice to one another and slowing down. Can you say a little bit more about that?
I mean, I think it's an extension of what Marian just said. If a community creates values and standards that it holds itself to, because collectively individuals understand that they can impact the whole, then you end up with the broad agreement. It feels good to all the people who are part of that agreement. We don't want to just impose rules because of something that happened. We want people to really understand the impact of their actions and appreciate that they are members of the community. And then together we can build a fabric that actually holds ourselves to a higher standard. That's really what it's at. And over the years, Burning Man has done that fantastic. Obviously the classic one is there are no trash cans in Black Rock City, because you know what? We all hold ourselves to a really, really high standard on that. Something we should be very proud of. There was issues with laser pointers a few years ago, and we asked the community not to bring laser pointers, and the community stopped bringing laser pointers. As a community, we are capable of seeing something when it's not good and responding to that as a whole, and that whole is so potent and so powerful. So that's kind of the answer to all of these issues.
It really is. I'm watching the thread in there, and I think it's Mal. You've had some great things, and John LaGrace, you always have something to say. We always know what you think, and I appreciate you giving me some props there. But John, you just said something, I think, which was that there was a time when no rules was the rule. As someone that's been part of this since 1995, I have resisted creating rules. I don't want rules. I want community behavior. It is so painful. It is so painful, first of all, to create a rule that is unnecessary and fucking police it. So the e-bikes one is near and dear to my heart. One of our consultants who's out of Washington, D.C., and yes, he's a Republican, but he helped me get in to see people in Washington, D.C. during the pandemic when Trump was in power. And he came out to Burning Man this year, and he's come out 3 times, and he's one of my best campmates. And he was riding his regular bike that he brings with him. And he had an electric bike that came in front of him and stopped him. And he went over the handlebars and ended up with 24 stitches in his forehead. And the guy, he looks up and his blood coming down the face. The guy looks up at him, turns, looks up, and rides away. Like, the organization does not want to police that. What we really want is for, let's just say, more than half the people are in camps. So that means when there's an e-bike in your camp and you guys are the leaders, like, remind everybody that just because you have an e-bike doesn't mean you get to go faster at night as the dark wad and hit into people. My friend could have really used some help up and a walk to the emergency services. That would have healed it. Because the guy, he's not a kid, he's in his 50s. He felt really upset, but he was more upset because he felt abandoned by somebody at Burning Man. Like, let's cross the boundaries of our fear and our behavior. And you guys have an opportunity as the leaders to just, it's a lot of work, because the bigger your camp is, the more work it is. But, delegate some of the culturation to the top level that have been coming for a while and help them teach the rest of them. And let's be nicer. Let's drive our bikes not so fucking fast. Let's not go and criticize a camp because they've got their own personal political message and you don't like it. Just, walk around a different corner. And, and on our side, I'm going to pledge that I think we can show up a little bit differently. You guys show up differently. We show up differently. It's kind of like, it's a bad arms race. If we have to create more rules and we have to monitor and talk about more rules, if we can all kind of dial things back a little bit and we can, take our fear down. Our fear often is where our tone comes from, is fear that the culture is drifting away from us. So I think what we're going to do this year is take a look at how we engage. Charlie said it earlier about how many people show up to remind you that there's black water or gray water. The number one issue on the Playa this year with camps, based on our observations, was fuel storage. So we're going to help you out with fuel storage. We're not going to come into the camps because we were doing that from our hearts, that like BLM's everywhere. Can we help everybody not get a citation? Well, let's pull that back a little and educate and give you guys the info that we know are the citations, the violations. And let's just take it all down a notch and really see the best in each other. I'm going to find a way to communicate better myself, and more with kindness and more with optimism, and just give everybody the benefit of the doubt, because God damn, if we don't do it, if we don't set the example for the world about how to create better community, no one will.
Thanks, Marian. I think that's a great way to wrap this up. I wish I had 20 more minutes to chat with you both. I have the privilege of having these conversations with you all the time, but I'm glad we can give a little look into it to the rest of the world and the rest of the community. You know, it reminds me a little bit of Charlie used to send out these emails that said, "Don't be a douche canoe," and kind of like that's maybe it, right? Like I see in chat people just saying, "Ban the assholes, just don't be a dick, don't be a douche." And that's what we're really trying to do.
So I'm going to land this. First of all, I can't figure out, well, anyway, I want to land this by saying the work that we do in Black Rock City is the seed for the work we do out in the world. I don't want anybody to forget that this is a nonprofit, that Burning Man Project, our mission is to take the culture and stimulate and support you guys and the work you're doing out in the world. So do not forget. And even if you want to take a year off, or your campmates are like, "I'd love to go, but I can't go this year," support the nonprofit, support what we're doing, because this culture is changing the world. It's changing our lives. We're making art happen in other places. We want to support you guys. I went to Slovenia last year. My favorite mug is from Slovenia, where I met burners. You know, let's make global Burning Man a reality. Let's make it happen together. And Burning Man Project loves you.
Thank you, Marian. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and engaging in chat. We really appreciate it. We still have over half, a little more than half of our plenary to go. So if you need to take a quick break, this might be a good time. We're going to pull up a little video about Black Rock City 2023 and how we did around leaving no trace. And our great docs team and media team pulled together a video, followed around Chaos, who's the head of our Department of Public Works, to get his impressions. And so we'll hear from him, and then we'll hear from Dark Angel DA, the head of Playa Restoration, to talk about how we can leave a better no trace in 2024. So let's pull up that video, and DA, I'll call you up after that.
I mean, it was just this side of a crisis, but at no point was it unmanaged. I mean, if you were coming in from the outside and you weren't experienced with event production, and you weren't experienced with Burning Man, and you weren't experienced with the wilderness, you might look at the situation and feel like things are pretty on the edge. But in reality, you know, those of us that have experience in those realms were dealing with the situation as it was happening, and problems were coming quickly, but we were resolving them as they came. And ultimately, there was really very minimal impact overall. There were 70-some thousand people out there when it all started, and a few thousand of them felt like it was too much, or they were already at the point when they needed to go home, or they were having other challenges and they felt like they needed to get out. And those few thousand people really created a lot of what were the challenges that we needed to resolve and overcome, all of which were ultimately manageable. But the vast majority of people, close to 70,000 people, were in Black Rock City, working together as a community, dealing with the mud, having fun, telling jokes, telling stories, doing fun, silly stuff. And as it started to dry out, they were packing up their camps, they were back looking at art, we had all of our burns, and really everything went according to plan. And now what we're seeing is people really working hard to get their sites cleaned up and make sure that they live up to our principles and leave no trace. And so there's been a lot of fear about how things will be left once we're done because of the conditions that we went through. And honestly, you know, we deal with a lot every year, so it'll be a little different than this year as far as Playa restoration efforts are concerned, but I'm confident it'll be manageable, and I'm pretty confident that we'll get the same result we always do, and that we'll pass our BLM inspection and we'll carry on into the future.
All right, that's Chaos from the Department of Public Works. We have another member of the Department of Public Works who is here to join us and tell you a little bit more about leaving no trace, how we did. I just want to thank DA for leading hundreds of people every year to make sure that we pass our BLM inspection. And he always says he couldn't do it without you all, right? Like the work really starts with camps. And so I'm just going to hand it over to him and let you know a little bit more about how we're going to be approaching it this year so we can be even more green. DA.
Hey, Black Rock City, how's it going? Good to see everybody. Yeah, we are gonna talk about leaving no trace. Our community is committed to leaving no physical trace of our activities on the Playa, wherever we gather. We clean up after ourselves and endeavor, wherever possible, to leave places in a better state than how we found it. And this is how we found it. Look at that, Black Rock City. Isn't that beautiful? Can't wait to be back. And so now we're going to talk about MOOP, a word in our burner culture that stands for, you know it, say it with me, matter out of place. MOOP is anything and everything that isn't natural to the immediate environment. And our environment is the Black Rock Desert, AKA the Playa, where there's nothing but dust. So MOOP is everything, leave no trace. All right, worst MOOP in BRC 2023 countdown. Here we go. Wood debris. Yep, somebody left us behind trying to push their car out of the mud, it looks like, and then just drove off like a bat out of hell. Number 4, cardboard debris. A lot of this this year. Everybody just trying to, just keep off the mud somehow. And number 3, plastic debris. This is just plastic bits, especially related to those broken trash bags you guys are all tying around your feet. If you're gonna do that, I recommend contractor bags. They don't break. Good quality. So plastic debris was number 3. Number 2, assorted matter out of place. So in our GPS, this is the oh shit button. We just press this button when there's just like every single kind of MOOP and we don't have time to itemize it because we're busy cleaning up the Playa. And the number 1 MOOP, again, lag bolts, tent stakes, and rebar. This is an epidemic, you guys. The most dangerous MOOP, okay? So this is what happens when you leave lag bolts, tent stakes, rebar in the ground. And it is our public enemy number 1. This is our map of all our lag bolts and tent stakes and rebar. Zooming in. This is really serious, you guys. You guys are using this. We understand that lag bolts are really structurally safe and they hold things down. When you're done tearing down your structure, pull those lag bolts up. Some of you are actually leaving it in the ground. And what happens is they're flush with the ground and then they end up popping back up eventually and they become a hazard. This is really, really serious. And like we're seeing like whole camps that have tarped their places down with all the lag bolts still in the ground. And you can tell by the pattern. So we have our eyes on this. This is an epidemic. We're just to show you, in 2019, we had 100 lag bolts, all right? And then we had our break. And in 2022, we had 1,000 lag bolts. And we raised the alarm last year, and still we had 1,500 lag bolts in 2023. We're going in the wrong direction, you guys. You need to be accountable for them. And we're tracking this. And so we've got some recommendations on that. So number 1, so our lag bolts is the number 1 MOOP again, and this is our priority list. This is like their seriousness. You can see like way down at the bottom. I know people, it's like a trigger MOOP glitter. It's like 28, it's tiny. I got 1,500 lag bolts that everybody left in the ground. And that's just the many times we pressed the button. There's probably more, and I hope we found it all, but we need you guys to be accountable for it. We need you to mark your lag bolts and then pull them out of the ground, and then share this information with your campmates and your community. All right, so moving on. Here is the MOOP map from last year. Again, we have moved on from green, and we are now working with clear, so we can focus on the MOOP. Red is stop, yellow is stop and go, clear is go, go, go. Clear is basically travel time from one end of the other of your block to the other. All right, that's how quick we need to move around because we have a lot of territory to cover. All right, red, yellow, clear. All right, this is going to come up because we're going to want you guys to start making your own MOOP map. So take some notes. All right, there's Black Rock City BLM post-event inspection. The Bureau of Land Management site inspection is conducted 1 month after the event. The allowable MOOP standard is 1 square foot per acre. That's basically 0.002%. All right, 1 acre equals 43,560 feet. So imagine a football field with the end zones. Black Rock City is over 3,600 acres, so that's like 3,600 football fields, or 157 million square feet. All right, 157 million square feet. All right, you guys might have a few thousand square feet to cover. We have to cover 157 million square feet. All right, and that's why the success of your cleanup effort means the world to us. And that's the MOOP we pulled off the Playa last year. All right, that is probably that's probably like the most MOOP debris we have pulled off the Playa. So we had to hustle, right? And then in terms of the inspection, we are not allowed to fail 12 out of the up of the 120 test points. Last year we failed 11. It was right there. We were so close, right? So we're in the red. You can see in 2019 was one of our best years ever. We had like 1 fail on the inspection out of 120. It was incredible. It was a beautiful victory, if you guys remember that one. Then we came back last year and it was tough. We had 8 fails, and then this year we had 11. So 1 more and we would have failed the whole inspection. However, we did it. We pulled it off. We passed by the skin of our teeth. All right, and I need you guys like we need to own this. All right, so. But we, Black Rock City, we can do better, and we need to do better. And here's how we do it. It's the power of our culture, our Leave No Trace culture. Who are these people? Who are our people now coming into our camps in our community? We need to teach, and each one teaches one. Leave no trace. All right, the power of our community. So this is a good measurement, like of the strength of our acculturation. All right. Here's my team, 150 people spread about 4 blocks. So number 1, we're going to be Camp MOOP sweeping daily. This takes 5 minutes. All right, this is travel time. So you line up your camp, and it should be every campmate should do this at one point. It can't just be you guys, the rock stars of your camp. It needs to be the entire community. It needs to be at some point, everybody needs to be doing this. So here's the MOOP sweeping. Here's my team lining up, 150 people across the block, and here they're off. Do this every day. The MOOP they pick up will not be there at the end when you guys are trying to get off the Playa, right? So this is how this is sustainable, and this is like, and this related DIY MOOP map. When you guys are MOOP sweeping your camp, start tracking where that MOOP is. Start tracking where you see the trends. Where are you spending time? Where is it stopping you? Where is it stopping going? Where are you just cruising past? All right. And again, if a camp is clean, if it's clear, it's travel time. Walking from one end to the other it takes minutes. All right. Account and mark your lag bolts. MOOP enemy number 1. Again, lag bolts. Tie a string around it. Tie a plant tag around it. Figure out a way so that way you're not losing your lag bolts in the ground. All right. And then there's that rise in lag bolts. This is an epidemic. Public enemy number 1. All right. Then MOOP test your camp. This is the test that it only takes 5 minutes. Again, 5 minutes. How to MOOP test. This is when you put a stake into the ground, you tie off a 38-foot rope, you line up your team, and you do a MOOP sweep around there. And you put all the MOOP into a plastic bag, and you keep that plastic bag. This is what my team looks like. There's about 8 people across that 38 feet. All right, and then you pick up the MOOP, and then you put it in your bags, you take a photo, you keep it for your records, right? And we'll have a conversation about it afterwards. But you will learn a lot. You will see what you miss because the MOOP sweeps are generally a scan. This is a much thorough, essentially it's a MOOP audit. Test your camps. And we've done the math for you to figure out how many MOOP tests you should be doing if, you know, based off of your size. So if you are if you're gonna take a screenshot, this is the one, 50 by 50. If you're a camp that's 50 by 50, you're doing one test. 50 by 100 feet, 2 tests. If you're 200 by 200, you're going to be doing 5 tests. And if you're a camp that's 400 by 400, you're doing 10 tests. We need you to be accountable for the amount of territory that you're using. We need you to test yourselves. So stand proud, BRC. We love you. We love your work. We're still undefeated. Leave no trace. Join the winning team. Join Resto, restoration@burningman.org. Back to you, Level.
Thank you, DA. Yeah, everyone, the MOOP epidemic, the lag bolt epidemic is real. There's some questions in the Q&A for you in the Q&A section, DA. So if you could get to those, that'd be great. Yeah, and I think, again, you know, we know that you all do as much as you can. Last year, the rain added an extra challenge to it all. Definitely know people had to throw out lots of rugs and other types of things that were wet and muddy and couldn't really be recovered. So, you know, we really recognize all that and also know that we can do better. So thank you, DA, thank you, Playa Resto, and thank you to all your MOOP leads who are doing all the work to guide your campers to do it right. So here we go. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit to spend some time telling you a little bit about placement in 2024. Several weeks ago, there was a story posted in the Burning Man Journal called Adapting to Growth and Limits in Black Rock City. So I want to talk about that during this time to help people understand a little bit of the dynamics of what we're working with. So I prepared a slide deck, which I'll share in a second. Before I get into that particular trend stuff, I also want to share with you that there's some really exciting stuff that is coming into Black Rock City this year. We had close to 1,300 camps fill out the statement of intent, probably yours. So thank you for spending the time to do that. We try to make that particular form short and sweet so we can get a good assessment of who's planning to come. And then, you know, we also acknowledge that we have a lot of forms. So what are those forms and what are those points of feedback? We have peers feedback, which is our fantastic volunteer team that goes out and tries to visit all the camps that are placed in Black Rock City, specifically theme camps. We also obviously have the placement team and our placers zooming around, keeping an eye on things and also helping camps where they need support, including things like heat requests. You know, like we were talking earlier, there are reports that come in all the time, both through email and other ways, also in person, to the placement team from other departments, from other campers, from participants. And we try to gather all that information and do our best to understand what's the full picture of what's happening. You're all probably familiar with the Place Camp questionnaire. I know it's a very long thing to fill out, and we're doing our best to try to condense it. And I think in coming years, you'll see other ways that we're going to try to fast track that process a little bit better, especially for our longest running camps that are the most established. We have a couple new pieces of information that we gather outside of the place statement of intent. We also gather the post-Playa report. We do ask every camp to fill that out because it really does help us understand, you know, if something was going on, if there's some unforeseen circumstance that happened that impacted how you showed up on Playa. You know, I think we want to hear that story and not just hear that people were upset with you at any point in time. We also send out a survey at the end of the event called the Neighborhood and Interactivity Feedback Form. And there's a couple thousand people that fill that out, and we really get a better picture of exactly what's going on in Black Rock City. All of that leads to a thing we call standings, which most people here are probably familiar with, to tell you, hey, you're a good standing, or there were some concerns. And I'll let you all know about 95% of camps in Black Rock City are golden. And all this feedback helps to let us know that. So those are our points of information, but I also wanted to reflect to you all. For those of you who've been to the Camp Symposium the last couple of years, we've been trying to provide a little bit more data about who is in Black Rock City in terms of camps and what are you bringing. So here's a few slides about what you can expect in Black Rock City in 2023. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to talk about, here's a word cloud. There were 604 camps that were identified as their favorite camps in Black Rock City in 2024. You might see your name in here, and you might see your favorite camp's name in here. So of course, the bigger the name, the more times it was mentioned. Feel free to take a screenshot. I hope you are excited about this. Many of you are coming back this year, and we are excited to see you return to Black Rock City. All right, so when are camps having interactivity? And so this is all data that we looked at from 2023. And as you can see, most camps are having something in the afternoon, which makes a lot of sense. You know, our circadian rhythms are what they are. I know some folks are night owls as well, but 74% of camps are doing something in the afternoon, which is really exciting. It's also the hottest part of the day. So, you know, we definitely see that's when misting and cooling and snow cones really kick in. But also lots of things are happening in the evening. So close to half of camps are providing things between 6 p.m. and 12 a.m. And of course, the early, you see late early here, the late night, early morning hours are when things are quietest. And of course, people are still roaming out around the playa, looking at art, going to art cars, etc. And a good quarter of folks are actually doing stuff 24/7. And so that's a really exciting thing. You know, we like to think of Black Rock City as probably the most interactive city in the world. And that's all because of what you all bring. So that's what is happening at the time of day. This gives you a little preview of the bars in Black Rock City. There's a lot of folks that will say there's too many bars, and maybe some people that say there's not enough bars. So how many bars are there exactly? If we're looking at around 1,300 theme camps in Black Rock City, about 2/3 or you know, anywhere from close to 2/3 of you are bringing bars in Black Rock City. And you know, for things that we see more frequent on Playa, the placement team loves uniqueness. So think about, you know, how do you make it an experience? How do you make something that's more common, unique to you, and unique to that'll entice people? And so people are doing all kinds of things to make it interesting and engaging, and not just somewhere you get a drink. Workshops. So in the last couple of years, we've seen, you know, close to half of Black Rock City offer workshops. So these are anything from, you know, kind of educational talks. We also consider things like learning how to do acro yoga, a workshop, and learning new skills, learning new kind of things that people haven't tried before. And what better place to learn things, and what safer place to learn things than Black Rock City, right? Folks are learning about fire safety and that type of thing too. So workshops are really great. We love to see them. And again, think about what's the unique kind of aspect of the topic that you can bring to the citizens of Black Rock City. You see here in the photo in the background, this is a ramen serving camp. So how many camps give food? Food, I will say, is the #1 thing when we ask, what would you like to see more in Black Rock City? People are like, we want more food. So about 1/3 of the city is bringing food. And I will thank all the people bringing food, because it is a big lift. You have to bring health permits, and then you have to like figure out how to clean it all up. It is more than just, you know, open up a pack of ramen. So thank you to all the food serving camps, and we'd love to see more of them. And finally, how many self-care camps are there? You know, we're talking about things like yoga, we're talking about things like meditation, we're talking about things like spas and soothing things. And here are the numbers for that. You know, somewhere around 1 out of 10 camps are offering these things. So that's a little snapshot of what is showing up in Black Rock City. You know, we did see some variations year to year, but generally around the same allotment of camps are doing this thing. And now I want to talk a little bit about that piece I mentioned at the start, which is growth and limits in Black Rock City. We are, getting close to capacity. There are lots of camps in BRC. If you read that story, we did encourage people to take a year off to help just create more space for people. There's been this long-standing idea that placement wants camps to grow bigger and do more every year. I feel like I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. That is not true. We love small camps. We love people kind of just keeping the same size. And we want to support, kind of more of the small. So, and we also want to support people finding ways to take time off, to give yourselves a break, and finding ways to bring Burning Man out in the world. I think if you leave your seat, someone else will come in and you can come back for that seat. And the more we can get a rotation around that, the better. A few other slides that I want to show, just in the story of Burning Man in Black Rock City. This is a photo from 2018, but it's actually a photo of Black Rock City in 1996. And this is the layout of the city. What you see is sort of the beginnings of Center Camp and the beginnings of what would become the clock. And here's a real picture of it. Someone skydiving in, it's really wonderful. But as you can see, everyone that wanted to be there could fit. Going up a couple years, this is 1998. I really love this picture because it just gave me a good sense of, what does the landscape, the human landscape look like? We have a lot more towers now, we have a lot more structures, but this was Burning Man, and this still is Burning Man. In my story, I did show folks, and I'm showing you here now, if you look at just the last 10 years, the grayed out area is the placed camp zone of Black Rock City, and that's grown. We do have ability to manipulate that year after year, but the placement teams try to really expand as more camps want placement and new camps come that are really fun and exciting to bring them in. But we're trying to make sure there's also still space for open campers, which now are really in the back streets of the city. And, we're having conversations about what's the right proportion of this, right? We've also heard people that said, great, we love that we have placement, but sometimes people aren't even showing up to the thing we put on because there's just so much going on. And so, we're trying to dial in what's the right balance between place camps and non-place camps. What's the right balance between expectations of interactivity versus just rest and relaxation and participation. I'll try to zoom through these next few slides, but this gives you a sense, again, a 10-year retrospective of how many theme camps are coming into the fold. But it's not just theme camps, we have more and more art support camps that support artists. We have more and more mutant vehicle camps that support mutant vehicles. And so in each of these columns, each of these colored columns, we're seeing growth. So in 2013, there were 793 theme camps, and in 2023, there were 1,242. And that number's grown again in each color. And so this isn't something that we're raising alarm about, but we wanted to share this information so that you could join the conversation and say, what do we do about this? We love that the culture is growing. We love that more people are coming. We love that all that can come together. And we're also saying things, there's a limit to this. This slide shows you a proportion of the total population. We do ask that in the placement questionnaire. And as you can see, that's also grown over time. What we've also seen is camps are growing bigger. So the number of camps every year, and you can imagine that this is kind of a normal growth. When I started going, I went with a group of 6 friends, and then next year, like 20 of them wanted to join us. So of course, that's the natural growth of things, but we really do have to think about how we grow and how you all help your communities grow. But this is the number of camps that were over 100 people. As you can see, 10 years ago, we were at 87. And last year, there were close to over 50 more of those camps. And this is a graph that shows you the change between, the comparison between the number of camps taking the year off, that's in blue, and then the number of new camps coming into the fold, which is in red. And so if you're trying to find an equilibrium, these numbers might be closer to each other, which they're pretty far off now. I will say once we stated the incentive for 2024, we asked folks to take a year off. The incentive is we are guaranteeing those camps that have said they'll take time off a year. We're holding onto their tickets for a couple of years. We're going to guarantee them placement when they come back without having to go through the same types of hoops or insecurity that other folks feel. And we have close to 200 that have signed up this year. So that number has gone up. We want to thank everyone that has chosen to do that because that really does give us more space and room to accommodate, all the kind of growth needs. And last couple of things I'll say, we are expecting a few changes in placement this year. We're encouraging camps to take breaks, like I mentioned. We're also trying to incentivize and support smaller camps. So thinking about how we do that, we're trying not to limit camps on sizes just yet, but, we're looking at, is there sort of a pace of growth that we allow? And that, how do we support new camps from coming into the fold? So that's on our radars and something we want to be engaging with you all as well over time. We've also announced that villages will be considered standalone theme camps. That's really helped us around how to have a direct relationships with those camps and villages. Some of the villages have also grown really big. And so what we're trying to do is really understand what's going on for that community of people and how we can support them. And we're really trying to prop up also our hubs program, which is getting camps to share resources and letting us know, and we can accommodate in that way. We have a new camp type called Civic Support Camp, and that is specifically to help camps that are doing some important service that the org and the community recognizes in the community. So, Kate mentioned earlier Zendo and the Bureau of Erotic Discourse. Those are camps that are doing something more than just something fun in their camp, right? They're really helping to uplift the community and provide resources around different needs. And so we want to see more of that. And so we've created a new camp type to deal with that or sort of categorize that. And you'll be seeing more in the near future about that. And of course, as Marian mentioned earlier, we do continue to focus on how do we inconvenience camping and the threats around commodification and to our culture. My last slide is this. Another big change that you should expect this year is around Center Camp, or what was known formerly as Center Camp. Rod's Ring Road has been a lovely fixture. It's named after Rod Garrett, who's the original architect and city planner for Black Rock City. Has been a confusing place for a lot of people. And so what we're trying to do is revamp a lot of Center Camp and the Center Camp area, and recognizing that the physical form influences that. And so what we're planning to do is in 2024, here's my little animation, transform it. So we are removing Rod's Ring Road and connecting the street grid back into Center Camp Plaza. It'll provide more places to get into the plaza rather than just 80th Street and 6 o'clock. And we're also looking at all the different camps that are surrounding it. So we're hoping to reinvigorate the plaza, invite you all there. There's ways for you to plug in. And I'm going to invite Laura Day, who is the Associate Director of Operations and kind of our spirit leader around the new Center Camp Central Plaza. So stop sharing my screen and let's bring up Laura.
Thanks, Level. Very happy to be here and to be talking about the Central Plaza and all of the changes that are coming to you very soon. I'm going to share my screen with you. Got lots of very pretty pictures to share. So I'm Laura Day, Associate Director of Operations here at Burning Man Project, and I've been burning since 2009 and working for the Man for about 5 years now. And currently I'm wearing my hat for the Center Camp Central Plaza redesign, here to make Center Camp cool again. This year, we are doing something monumental. We are bringing cats to outer space. Just kidding. Paying attention? Cool. No, actually, we're revitalizing the heart of Burning Man culture. via the city's Central Plaza and downtown neighborhood in a way we've never done before. The Central Plaza will act as the expression and celebration of Burning Man culture, embodied through, no, not selling coffee, through active design and collaboration between the Burning Man organization and the burner community to bring the essence of the culture to its heart. I have more to share, but first I think we should pay a little homage to the history of Center Camp. Today, the man is at the actual middle of our map. But in 95 and 96, Center Camp was literally the center of Burning Man with a main stage at the event. What eventually became Center Camp Cafe was started in 1995 by Miss P with a single espresso machine on a hay bale under a parachute. Now, maybe you know what happens with parachutes in a dust storm, and on the second day of operations, the shade structure was completely destroyed. But as we do, the community came together and built a new shelter, and for the next 24 years, Center Camp continued to host an espresso bar in some form or another. Early in 2000, a young restaurateur presented an idea for a huge cafe at Center Camp. His premise was the bigger the structure, the more coffee could be sold. So if it was big enough, it would much more than pay for itself. Yeah, this formula did not prove out, but it resulted in nearly an acre of shade and the world's largest freestanding tensile structure as far as we know. Of course, there was coffee and other beverages for sale. Kindness and advice has always been free of charge, often with a side of snark. Did you know that it took approximately 1,200 volunteers to staff the coffee shop? The cafe was proudly lauded as the gateway to volunteering in Black Rock City. There are so many beautiful stories and moments that have happened in the space over the years, and there are going to be many, many more. So in 2021, coming out of the pandemic, we realized that in order to bring back Black Rock City, we really needed to scale down our operations and make it a lighter lift. The cafe was a hugely complex, impactful, and expensive operation. Ultimately, many people found it highly illogical. Why is that? Well, the complexity had a measurable impact on our commitment to sustainability. So much power transporting the machines, beans, ice, water, fueling reefer trucks, trenching, plumbing, I could go on. It is an unignorable carbon footprint. And many of the teams that build Black Rock City were heavily impacted to provide the resources and labor to make it go. And in a year where we needed to make the lift lighter, it didn't make a lot of sense. Also, the cafe operated at a significant loss. It cost far more to build and run a coffee shop in the desert than it made in sales. Go figure. Not to mention, the cafe had seen a steep decline despite an increase in population, and average drink consumption was about 1/6 of what it once was. So maybe it was time to get innovative and allow the space to be reinvented. If ever there were a time to experiment with coffee sales sunsetting, this was the moment. And we knew there was something far more impactful for the city's center that transcends selling coffee. So we took a deeper look into the values of the culture in our community. And we had a lot of informal conversations and learned that a lot of longtime burners hadn't been to the cafe in a really long time. And apparently, about 1/5 of theme camps now offer coffee as part of their interactivity. Turns out our community is pretty self-reliant when it comes to caffeination. So we began to ask ourselves about the nature of coffee and community. Is selling coffee still the best way to generate community? Is it the best way to activate the city center? How could the city center express Burning Man's culture in a more authentic way? How could we cultivate the essence of Black Rock City without selling something that was already being gifted? So we decided to experiment with eliminating the cafe and watch what occurred. And it wasn't what we hoped. In 2022 and 2023, we invited the community to utilize the space under the shade for whatever they desired. We gave the space a blank slate to see what the community might do with it. We knew, like anything at Burning Man, it would take time and listening, but the invitation wasn't enough. There were great moments. Oh my gosh, the cacophony cocktail party was lit, and it was such a fun party, but otherwise kind of a ghost town. Not anymore. So the heart of the city is being completely redesigned and revitalized. As Level shared, the streets will change, leading into the Central Plaza. Urban design at its best, my friends, crafting a downtown vibe to Black Rock City. Let's bring the party back into the city. This is the biggest shift we've made to the city in a very long time, and we believe this could be the catalyst and spark of a new wave of creativity and innovation in Black Rock City, and I think we're all ready for that. The neighborhood will feel different. The roads are different. The camps will be different. This is downtown like no other, no financial district. We're about to experience the birth of the central Black Rock City neighborhood, and those who reside there are co-creating the new center of the city. We can all look in each other's eyes and know that we're all there for a common purpose, a shared effort to co-create the beating heart of Black Rock City. This is community building in its rawest form. To me, this work feels incredibly important, activating the center in a way that guides the culture moving forward. In many cities, the center is where the festivities occur that express its culture. I mean, can you even think about New Orleans without the culture of Mardi Gras, or Rio without Carnival? What would Black Rock City's festival feel like? That's precisely what we're doing. We are going to throw a festival in the center of the city that embodies Burning Man culture, and you're all invited to be a part of this. As the heart of the city, the Central Plaza will be the pump to distribute the revitalizing red blood cells, which will reach the farthest extremities to invigorate new life and growth. In my mind, this revitalization completes the archetype of the city's central body. For me, the temple really represents the soul, where the spirits reside. The man, for me, is like the mind, the thinking, creative brain. And every year we release these ceremonially. The city's center is the heart, though. This is the body, the distribution of nourishment to the body, which is our city. And this is what we nurture to keep vibrant and healthy. Without a strong heart, the body weakens. So I want to invite all of you to come experience the bleeding edge of Burning Man culture, to get inspired, and if you like, bring your inspiration to inspire others. I think it's high time we stir up the culture and shake up the parts that might feel a little stagnant. Serve the blood of the culture to its congregation. Wait, not a cult, not a cult. What are some areas that we're hoping you might feel inspired and excited to help produce? We're thinking about a multi-year story arc that reflects the annual theme. We're crafting immersive theater storytelling that brings participants into the fold, where they become a character in the tale. Do you have a story to tell or like to bring your own characters to life? We'll have plenty of vaudeville, comedy, circus, and aerial performance slots open. Who wants to host a party under the great canopy? Daytime is a little bit more mellow, of course, but will be very interactive and fun with flea gifting, markets, scavenger hunts, games, plenty of yoga and healing, an impressive art gallery experience and live painting, strange little worlds to discover and explore, learning and sharing. It will all belong here. We'll be inviting interaction with mutant vehicles to come and throw down. Perhaps they're part of an interactive story and do a takeover. And what about the late night weirding hours? You can bet you'll find something strange to make you laugh or something, and it will keep getting weirder into the night. While we have some really amazing contributors already excited to make Burning Man weird again, there's still plenty of room for more of your contributions. We want to celebrate the many aspects of Burning Man culture. We wish to cultivate and experiment with the small and the weird and the loud and the brilliant. So I came here today to talk to all you theme camp leads to get you excited about this new city center and to extend an invitation to play. You might want to bring a momentary experience or host an event on the stage under the canopy. And of course, we are very sensitive to asking you to do more than you already do, which is already a lot. But what we are asking you to do is think about the city center differently and how you might contribute to bringing a vibrant downtown Black Rock City to life. There are many ways to participate, and that could be contributing your magic special sauce, joining the downtown neighborhood, or simply coming out to play. Make the Central Plaza your meeting place to prepare for your night on the town. We know this will become the place to be, and now is your chance to get in on it from inception. This is an opportunity for the organization to work together deeply with the community on a shared project, and I'm here to lead this collaborative effort and have a fantastic team and partnerships assembled to support this vision. If you wish to be a mainstay of activation under the canopy, there is potential that can be your camp's primary interactivity with possible camping nearby, relieving your camp of that requirement for placements, kind of like being a support camp for the canopy without the pressure of frontage to activate. If you have something you'd like to propose to bring, please reach out to me and my team at brc-central-plaza@burningman.org or indicate your interest in the placement questionnaire. I just want to take a quick moment. I'm just about done here, Level. I see you coming up, and I just want to take a quick moment to express how excited I am to be in this moment with you all, because I feel like this is just such a powerful, beautiful opportunity to work with so many of the most creative and innovative humans on the planet to create the heart of Burning Man culture. This is a real potential to do something that shifts the way we burn and the way we evolve the culture in a way that nurtures it into perpetuity. And I feel so honored to be part of this and here to connect the dots and curate an experience that is out of this world, like cats in space, shooting lasers while riding an alpaca unicorn, sitting on a pizza surrounded by floating burritos, because you gotta stay on theme, y'all. Back to you, Level. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Laura. I'm so excited to see what we can cook up together, both you and me and our teams, as well as the community, to make the Central Plaza really hit. So thank you for that presentation. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. We are also really excited about Burning Man's sustainability goals and what we can do together as a community. I know that every year, you've probably been hearing this for a while now, but every year I see more camps trying out cool things like solar and trying to compost more. And we have a lovely group of people and camps that are also trying to support the community around this. So I'm going to bring up Christopher Breedlove and Claire Wild from, I'll let them introduce themselves.
Great. Thanks so much, Level. Hey, everybody. Awesome to be here with you today. My name is Christopher Breedlove, and I'm wearing my Burners Without Borders and Green Theme Camp community hat today. I'm going to bring Claire up in just a second, and we're going to do a quick rapid fire presentation for you today about what's been going on in the Green Theme Camp community. So real quick, we're a group of theme camp leaders that started to come together in 2020 to try and help Burning Man meet its sustainability goals from the community end. We have built a roadmap of how you can participate with us. You are welcome to follow our roadmap. You're also welcome to join us at any point along the journey. You can find this and all of the details of how to get involved on our Green Theme Camp community website. But the first step we recommend for every camp is to have a sustainability lead. It's not your LNT lead, it's your sustainability lead. And it's getting a baseline for power, water, food, waste, shelter, and transportation. And we have a sample job description on our website. You know, our two main projects within the Green Theme Camp community are Blast, learn how you're doing, and then Thrival Guide, learn how to do it better. And Claire is going to tell us what's going on in the world of Blast.
Hi, everyone. I'm Claire. I'm the project lead for Blast, and I'm going to give a quick update on Blast, including the results from 2023 and how your camp can get involved. So in case you haven't heard of it yet, BLAST stands for Burner Leadership Achieving Sustainable Theme Camps. And it's a green theme camp certification system that tries to provide a framework for what a sustainable theme camp might look like. So here's a map of all the BLAST camps from 2023. Last year, we had 61 camps participating compared to 20 camps the year before, which is a huge increase. And our goal is to have 100 theme camps join BLAST for 2024. This is going to be our third year on Playa. Here are a few more stats from Burning Man 2023. We had a team of about 20 volunteers on Playa who visited BLAST camps to evaluate their sustainable projects and infrastructure and really recognize all the work that theme camps are doing to make Black Rock City a greener place. The main thing I wanted to share is the BLAST results from 2023. We just published the BLAST Radius sustainability trackers from all 61 camps on our website. So you can check them out there, and we'll have a link to the website in a minute. And this is an example of how we're visualizing the BLAST results from each camp. We want to recognize all the camps that participated in BLAST because just signing up, you're demonstrating a commitment to sustainability. But we also want to celebrate the 20 camps with the highest ratings in 2023. So here's a list of those camps, and also give a special shout out to Spice and Vice for earning the highest BLAST score last year.
Great. Thanks so much, Claire. I'm also going to talk about another project that we launched in 2023 called the Green Corridor, which is supposed to be a neighborhood of camps working on the sustainability roadmap. It's really a vision of trying to bring together a neighborhood of people trying new practices. And how camps get into the Green Corridor is you have to participate in BLAST, and then you also have to make a commitment to make one of your infrastructure areas better next year. And so it was our first time last year. We had 10 camps join us in the Green Corridor along the 430 sector. And so we're going to invite all 64 of the camps that did BLAST last year to also join us if you want. And so we're hoping that we're going to be able to at least double, if not more, the neighborhood this year. And all of the camps, you should be receiving a survey on Monday in your inbox to see if you'd like to join us in the Green Corridor next year. Another project we're just starting up is the Model Green Theme Camp. We're trying to imagine what the best practices amongst all of our community in one camp might look like. So this is really about marrying innovation and sustainability. This is a brand new project. We're not sure how we're going to do it. But again, if you go to our website, you can learn more, and we'd love to get you involved if this is something that's exciting to you. Also, we've been developing toolkits slowly. Here's two that we released last year, one on the shower loop, which recycles gray water in a shower system. Here's another one about how you actually can do electric hauling for your transportation to Black Rock City. And we're hosting all of these on two places on the internet, both on the Green Theme Camp website, as well as on the Thrival Guide. And it's the same information, but ordered in different ways to help you find the information in the way you want. And so that's also our last project, the Thrival.guide. That's the website. It's a sustainable open source directory. We don't want you just to survive in Black Rock City. We want you to thrive in it. So if you've got a best practice, please submit it to us.
And this is how you can contact us. You can email the Green Theme Camp community or BLAST with these email addresses. And then we have a website for the Green Theme Camp community, which also has a link to BLAST and the Thrival Guide and the Model Green Theme Camp. And there's a Green Theme Camp community Facebook page that you can check out as well.
All right, nice to be here with you today. Thanks so much, Claire. And Level, back to you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Christopher. Really excited to see 61 theme camps in BLAST. That's fantastic. I know that number's grown over the years. I saw a question that came in the Q&A about how are we supporting more camps to do this. So do want to refer people to the Hubs program, which we do try to provide, kind of prioritize the placement and the mapping of camps that are really sharing resources and working on these initiatives. And we also try to support some camps with additional tickets and ways to get to Black Rock City. So if you're interested, put that in your placement questionnaire.
It's 12 o'clock.
Work with, the BLAST community and the Green Theme Camp community around that. I am going to shift gears once again. So the rest of this is going to be shifting gears because we have a lot more to share in the next half hour. But first, a commercial break, a Burning Man commercial break. So here's a little video of the art of Black Rock City in 2023. There is a breakout workshop this afternoon. If you're interested in bringing art, if your camp is, we have folks from the art department that will help you learn their process. They're fantastic, and it is all part of this amazing community we're part of. So let's bring up that video. All right, thank you to the artist of all those pieces for bringing your art to the Playa. Thank you to the video maker, Vincent Romalaire. I also thank you to everyone who put all your footprints in the mud. I think that was one of my favorite parts of the video, to see all the little steps around the Playa that was drying out or even still wet. So, you know, we all are art as well. So, and thank you again. There is a panel and workshop later today if you're interested in how to bring art to Black Rock City you haven't done before. It's really interesting to hear their process. All right, we have another panel. You know, earlier I had a little chat with Marian and Charlie. I'm gonna fade out, but I'd love to introduce Vegas Queen, who is our head of volunteerism. We couldn't make Black Rock City, of course, without the camps, and so many people in theme camps actually also go out into the community and do more. You know, I'm sure there are rangers and folks that work at Gate that are in many of your camps. But you can also organize as a community together to take on different shifts. And so Vegas Queen's here with a couple theme camp leaders to share their experiences about what they gain out of that process and that experience, how to do it, and how that really helps build even more community and culture. So Vegas Queen, let's bring you up as well as our speakers today.
Hi everybody. Thank you so much, Level, and thank you all for being here today. First, I'd like to thank all of you for your commitments and your contributions to our community. Without you, we would certainly not be here in this place, so I'm very grateful. Just like Level said, we're here to just really quickly talk about great volunteer opportunities that your camps can do together in Black Rock City. It's a wonderful way to get out of your daily routine of whatever your camp duties are. It's a great way to get out in the community, and it's a great way to meet some new friends. So I'd like to thank Ranger Dos Mas, Nikki, and Marian for all being here. And they're just going to tell you just for a moment or two what their camp does and why they do it and why it's a good time. So I will pass the baton first over to Ranger Dos Mas.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Vegas Queen, for inviting me. I started burning in 2007, and as I think most burners, like, you just start to do things for yourself initially. Make yourself a better burner, make your camp a better burner. I basically rose up through the ranks as a transportation director and infrastructure director. Now I'm the camp lead for Camp 3907, which is the elevation of the Playa, and we're elevators. We're here to elevate your experience. And a few number of years ago, one of my campmates says, why don't you do a volunteer thing as a camp? And I said, okay, sure. What can we do? And it's like, what about greeters? And so I was like, sure, let's organize that. And thank you, Vegas Queen, for offering us a shift on us Sunday evening from 8 till midnight. And we as a camp, all of us, like 35 to 50 of us, will go there and be greeters. And some of us are even like first-time burners, but they show that they show up and they do their best. And it is a beautiful experience, welcoming people from across the world who have been traveling for hours and days and been in line for forever. And they come in and they are so grateful to be greeted. And this is our ability, as a volunteer, to welcome them. This is their first opportunity to become part of the community. And it is an incredible blessing, and it's an incredible opportunity to give back to the community, in a way that we can. It's just it's a dusty hug. It's ring the bell. It's like, jump in the dirt. So and we've been doing this now, I think, for 4 years, and it is a fabulous experience. And in my own experience, as coming up from becoming more of a camp person. Now I'm the camp lead, and I've also, in my own experience, just a few years ago, this is my 3rd year now as being a ranger, and I can't stress enough that volunteering and giving back to the community that is so welcoming to me to begin with is a perfect way to contribute. As a citizen of Black Rock City, you're not just going to go there and hang out and have fun, but you're actually going to contribute to the community that has built itself around fellow contributors, fellow volunteers. And I can't say enough to, everyone out there, just please, check in with people and how you can volunteer. There are plenty of places to do it. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that fantastic review. Nikki, let me hand off to you.
Thanks, Vegas Queen. Hi, I'm Nikki Brent Fenimore, and I've been going to Burning Man for 8 years now. I initially co-led Big Imagination and have more recently been leading Home Camp. We jumped in to volunteer as Home for the first time in 2022, thanks to a suggestion from a friend and mentor, and it was undoubtedly one of the best things that we could have done. I think you've already touched on this, but I sort of have this under 3 headings. So do it for your camp, do it for Burning Man, the community, and do it for yourself. Doing it for your camp, it's such a great way to bring first-time burners and long-time burners together in a setting that's a bit of a leveling ground. And you really get to see different personalities shine. We volunteered as greeters at the gate, and it is undoubtedly, for me, one of the most grueling shifts. There was a dust storm that I have ever done, but other camp members who were first-time burners were just so great and resilient. And that was awesome to see them rise to the occasion while I was flailing. Do it for your community, do it for Burning Man community. I think, volunteering for a 4-hour shift or even 2 4-hour shifts makes such a significant contribution to the weight that is carried across the burn. And you also get to have a look behind the curtain and see everything that goes into actually making this festival happen, which is amazing. And then you're the first point of contact for people coming to Playa. So you get to set the stage and the tone for their burn experience. And finally, do it for yourself. Especially if you've been going to Burning Man for, 5+ years, if you're a camp lead and you sort of have that nailed down and you know how to do it. Doing volunteering as a greeter really pushed me back into a beginner mentality and a beginner mindset. And I'm really grateful for that. I think one of the lessons of Burning Man is you don't know everything and you're never going to know everything. And so it was a really humbling and fun experience. I can't encourage you to volunteer enough. So dive in and get involved.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And for slightly different perspectives, it's not greeter related. I'd like to pass to Marian.
Thanks, Vegas Queen. Yeah, so I'm here from Deaf Guild Thunderdome, and shocking, nobody who knows our camp, we don't have a whole lot of crossover with the greeters. Although I will say that increasingly our camp is doing an awful lot of crossover with things like Gate and with FAST and with various art projects and a whole bunch of other things. From the volunteering aspect, the reason I'm here is to talk about Black Ice, which is volunteering with Arctica that our camp does. And as a camp, we effectively do a takeover of one of the Arctica locations. And I've got to say, it is a lot of people's highlight of being on Playa, minus, of course, the Thunderdome, where we really do, as a whole camp, we get fully kitted up in our gear and we go and, people perform the different operations per their abilities. So it's inclusive to everybody. And it's just a really awesome experience. We process over in the, Mad Max-like vehicles, have fun, giving the crowds a little bit of brief and then giving them a little bit of a show, and there's dancing and there's running around. I don't have a ton to say about it other than the Arctica folks have been amazing to work with and really have helped us out with the scheduling a lot so that we can get as many folks of our camp from our camp in there. New people who have been around for the 15+ years that we've been doing this. That's about all I've got from a statement perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you all. I really appreciate you all being here. There's also, and not represented for no reason, Lamplighters is also a wonderful place for folks to volunteer together where they can be together and do something together. And if any of this seems interesting to any of you, super easy. You can reach out to any of these teams, greeters at burningman.org, Lamplighters at, or Arctica at, and all of those teams are very open to speaking to you and how we can facilitate your camps doing something fun and different together. Thank you, humans who talked today, and thank you everyone for being here, and I'll pass back to Level.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, I think I also want to recognize that everyone in a theme camp is volunteering your own time to build your camp, to run your interactivity, to throw your parties, throw your workshops. So, you know, it can feel like a lot of weight to want to do even more. So I also want to help people realize that placement understands that. You know, we want to encourage people to be woven in the community, go outside of your camp, not just feel like, oh, you know, you're just slaving away at your camp. And so if you need to make adjustments based on your activities because your camp is doing a greeter shift, because they're deciding to do a lamplighter shift, let us know. And, you know, we are here to understand and really support people, not just feeling like, you know, all you have to focus on is your particular camp. I noticed that in chat, there's other people naming other great groups, Temple Guardians, Art Guardians. There's a thing called Eyes on Art, et cetera, et cetera. You know, Burning Man is built on the power and generosity of volunteers. And so there's a lot of information out there for that. I am going to introduce one of our newest volunteer teams, which is a group called Peers, which is near and dear to my heart, which started back in 2018 as the Camp Survey Squad, but we realized that wasn't really a great name for it. Really, these are folks that are, many of you may have already volunteered yourselves, but are other theme camp organizers that want to just meet people. I will say one of my favorite feedbacks from any volunteer through this process and through this group is that they're able to actually go visit camps that they normally wouldn't experience because they're like, oh, they don't look like me, they don't wear the same kind of clothes, they're not my vibe, and end up realizing that there's fantastic people. It sort of helps check people's biases. We were talking about that in culture earlier. So I highly, highly encourage you all to participate in that. And also remember that they're truly your peers. It's not a spy from placement. It's someone that's there to try to actually acknowledge all you've done and sort of capture that information. So with that, I'm going to bring up Sticky Beak. Hi, Sticky Beak.
Hey there, Level.
Sticky Beak's been our volunteer coordinator for this for many years. So take it away and let them know more about Pierce.
Yes, let me bring up my slides here. See if I can do this quickly. You know, Level, I think, did a great job of introducing this. So, you know, who are these people? As we said, they are your peers. There's a reason we chose that name. It's 200 or so volunteers from all around BRC, and that ranges from, you know, absolute first-time burners who've never set foot on Playa before to longtime vets and TCOs. It's a great way to make yourself get out of camp. And we try to make it this as easy and accessible as possible. You know, people are trained via self-paced class. It takes about 30-40 minutes on HIVE. And then on Playa, you know, you have teams, we pair them up, or you bring your own partner, 2 to 3 people. Shifts are 3 hours, you only need to do one. And then those run everywhere from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And now what do we do? You know, the number one thing we do is listen. You know, we want to know what you have to say, what you want to tell us. You know, if there's something important, we'll hand that off to a placer to follow up, but we're really all about listening. And we also do, you know, we do take a few pictures of your frontage. Don't count on that for your documentation because sometimes we get pictures of thumbs. Like I said, we have 30 or 40 minutes of training. What don't we do though? We are not there to evaluate or spy on or judge your camp. And we don't influence your camp standing. We're there to listen. We're there to hear what's going on and let placers know if there's something you want us to follow up on. Whoops, did I just miss? Yes, I went back. So how do we do it? Well, we have some amazing software one of our coordinators wrote. You know, it's a complex routing algorithm, but it's, you know, we take everything from your camp PCQ, what you put on the Playa events calendar, and then we look at, okay, you know, how many volunteers do we have available? You know, what's the travel time to get between camps? We try to make routes as short as possible. And, you know, sometimes we have to miss camps. Sometimes people can't get out to every camp on their shift. Sometimes the camp's not open when we were hoping they'd be open. And so we've got to go back another time. So we really try and make sure we get to everybody. So, you know, we tried our best to honor all those requests. And there's a place in the PCQ where, you know, we ask, when would you like to be visited? We do our best to do that. But in the end, if we can't make that time, we'd rather get you a visit than not get you a visit at all. And we did make about 85% of camps last year. So that's a new high for us. If you want to volunteer, the first place to go is the volunteer questionnaire in your burner profile. And then, you know, it starts from there. If you have general questions or feedback, send it to it as peers@burningman.org or on placement on Playa. You can always find us at placement headquarters. So I think that's it. Back to level with sports.
Thank you, Sticky Beak, and thank you, everyone. I've been following the chat. Sounds like folks really enjoyed your experiences with people who were part of this all. So we're getting close to the end of the plenary, so I really appreciate everyone's eyes and ears on all of this. It's been a lot of information. We will record this. It is being recorded and shared out with all of you afterwards in case you haven't been taking notes and want to hear it all again. So our last couple of speakers are here to help explain more about what we have to offer as support. And so we have a lovely volunteer named Racy who recently created a site on Burning Man HIVE and is there to support any camps that are thinking about, how to build better infrastructure. We know there's a lot of places to get this information, but Burning Man HIVE is one of the best places that we recommend people go. It's a great place for first-time burners. It's also a great place for returning veteran burners to also help first-time burners. So let's bring Racy up and then we'll start closing very soon.
Great, thanks, Level. Hi, everyone. I'm Racy, and yeah, I help write content over at HIVE. And I'm here to quickly tell you today about a resource the wonderful people at Camp Support and ourselves have been developing over the last number of months called Theme Camp Builders, which is all about building and running a theme camp. We're looking to share specific how-to information on how camps have solved all elements of camp life. And the purpose of the HIVE group is twofold. So firstly, we're hoping to help new camps or camps that are growing with methods that have been tried and tested on Playa, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. But also we're looking for established camps, we're looking to provide peer comparison information to help with any camp reevaluations. So this is very much a burner-led project with a huge scope, and it's going to take us a couple of years to complete it. But I'm very excited today to be launching what we have done so far on the core modules. For those of you who don't know what HIVE is, it's a dedicated space for burners to share and to learn from each other. It has courses on a variety of topics, and it has groups similar to Facebook, but just without the SNOC. So it's very simple. You just go to hive at .burningman.org, and I hope our lovely tech moderator will stick a link in the Zoom chat for us. Once you get to that, you just log in with your burner profile login details. You'll get onto this page here, and kind of on the left-hand side, you'll see the groups, and within there, you've got Theme Camp Builders, but also hopefully we'll put a link in the chat. And you have two ways of accessing the information. So you can go to the topic section and access the long form articles that will give you all the information on a specific area, which is a great way for those looking to learn. But you also can go into the table of contents, which would show all the subsections of the main form articles if you're just looking for specific information. And each of the articles has a chat section to it, so you can leave comments, and this will build and build over the coming years. But if there's something, a specific topic that you'd like us to cover, just pop it in the HIVE chat if you can. So for us to achieve our overall goal, we really need your help. We're looking for camps to tell us how you undertake the various elements of your camp. So like in this Zoom call, there's a vast depth of experience. So if each camp role lead could take 15 minutes just to tell us how you take on your role and send in any supporting docs you may use, it would be a huge benefit to the overall pool of knowledge that we would have. And you can do that by email, so you can send it to me at racyhive@gmail.com or at campsupport@burningman.org. And again, hopefully the links are in the chat. Lastly, on HIVE, another resource I'd like to point out to you is we have a group called Matchmaker, which is a space for camps to find new members and for new burners to find camps. And we already have almost 1,000 burners signed up to this, most of which are looking to join camps. So if you're thinking of taking on a new camp this year, this is a great place to meet some new burners. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoy exploring the two camps and the other spaces. Great to be here with you today, and thanks very much. Back over to you, Level.
Thank you, Racy. Yeah, if you haven't been to Burning Man Hive yet, the best way to do it, I think there's some links that were shared in chat, is to also log in through your burner profile on those links. So if you don't have a burner profile, what's wrong with you? You should have one. All right, we are going to round it out with one final presentation with multiple speakers. It's a video about the camp support team. The camp support team is a sister team of placement made up of many theme camp organizers and leaders with a lot of experience putting on both what we are experiencing today in the Camp Symposium. So many, many thanks to them, as well as other things like a monthly campfire talks that happens, between December and June. There's also mentors and advisors. I think some of you are those people themselves that are there to answer all sorts of questions, simple ones that are really quick to answer, as well as longer ones that are more complex and over time to help people really know how to show up to Black Rock City. There's just so much that we have to learn and dial in and know how to do to make the burn happen. And there's really great people out there doing it. So let's bring up that video and then we'll close it out for the plenary before our lunch break.
Camp Support was founded in 2018 by former placement manager Trippy Longstockings and has grown and evolved with Associate Director of City Planning Level, herding this little group of cats along with peers and the placement team. Each member of Camp Support team leads a project to assist camps of all shapes and sizes in some way. So we've invited a few friends to talk about the various efforts that the Camp Support team oversees.
Throughout the season, Campfire Talks are a monthly conversation that focuses on a specific topic and bring together a panel of knowledgeable burners who are ready to share their experiences with you. Anyone can join the talks live, and every Campfire Talk is recorded and available on the Burning Man Project site at this link. Past talks have covered topics like organization and motivation, making build and strike easier on everyone, camp leadership systems, and lessening our environmental impact on the Playa, to name just a few. There are 3 seasons worth of campfire talks to catch up on if you haven't already. And there's more to come as season 4 is fully underway. Next up, the Camp Resource Guide.
Hey everybody, my name's Lynch. In order to create something better than just an FAQ, Camp Support created and maintains the Camp Resource Guide. This compendium of camp knowledge currently exists on the main Burning Man Project website and is updated periodically to include new information or guidelines that relate to the big event in the desert. You can find the guide here. So check back regularly as information is added and updated. And since we're talking about things that specifically help camps do what they do, I want to tell you about something else we have. It's called camp. See, sometimes there's a camp that's got really big ideas, but they don't know how to turn them into reality. Or maybe they need a nudge to get back to the guiding principles that make Black Rock City the place that we love. The Camp Advisory and Mentorship Program, CAMP, was created to connect camps with experienced camp leads who can listen, suggest, and guide the camp toward their goal, whatever it might be. See, some camps need help with a little help with the placement questionnaire. Some need help as they go through growing pains, and some just need a little handholding to get them to the Playa in a way that won't alienate them from their neighbors. Advisors meet with their advisee camps throughout the year and visit them on Playa to witness their success. So, if you are a camp in need, you can fill out the form at this address, and if you are a stellar camp lead itching to share your knowledge, you can apply to become an advisor at this address. And now, the help desk.
Oh, why, hello there, fellow burners. I'm Dr. Dilemma from the Camp Support team, here to tell you a little bit about the Camp Support Help Desk. Are you struggling with the inner workings of your camp, whether it's build, food, logistics, or leadership dynamics? Our online help desk at campsupport@burningman.org is your go-to resource. Need a quick answer? We've got you covered. Looking for valuable resources to enhance your camp? We'll point you in the right direction. Feeling isolated in your challenges? Fear not. We'll connect you with fellow camp leads who've navigated similar waters, or even if you're trying to start a brand new camp from scratch. Plus, we can even direct you to a distributed social network where you can crowdsource solutions from the burner community. Think of us as your one-stop shop for camp support. Whatever your question, We're here to help. You can email us today at campsupport@burningman.org, and let's tackle those camp challenges together. Thanks.
Well, that sure was a lot of info. Fortunately, you can roll this thing back and catch anything that you missed. Camp Support is here to help camps of all sizes prepare for, build, and thrive in Black Rock City. And if you're interested in volunteering with Camp Support and its numerous projects, please reach out to volunteer@burningman.org. Please make sure to have Camp Support in the subject line. And thanks for listening today. Can't wait to see you in the dust.
All right, that's our fantastic camp support team. I saw someone in chat say, I know that guy, I know that guy. So yeah, it's your peers, we're all your peers, we're all peers with each other. And so thank you for all the volunteers from the camp support team. We are now closing up this plenary session. This is just the tip of the iceberg of all the information that is available. We wanted to make sure that you walked away with kind of knowing what folks at the org are thinking about, also what people in placement and camp support and peers are thinking about, and encourage you all to keep connecting with one another. You know, we haven't been able to have this in person in a while. There is a happy hour in San Francisco if you happen to be there. Happy to see you and look forward to seeing you. But you know, these virtual ways also allows for people from all over the globe really to participate. So we invite you all to join the breakout sessions in the afternoon. They're going to start at 1 p.m. Pacific time, or you know, convert that to your time zone. And then they'll wrap around 4 o'clock Pacific time. There's 2 breakout sessions and 14 different workshops going on. Like I said earlier, you're welcome to jump between one or the other and participate. You know, it'll be opportunities for you to learn from one another, but also to meet each other too. I also want to do a couple reminders. This is completely volunteer driven and built. So much credit to the planning team for this. We've been planning this since December of 2023. And if you're interested in doing this, this is like made for the community, by the community. Please feel free to email placement or camp support. Let us know that you're interested. We also have a feedback form. Of course, we love forms and we love feedback. We'll post that feedback form for you all. Let us know how we can improve. You know, is there a topic that you wanted to hear about? Is there a speaker you'd like to know about? Is there a video you want to share? I also noticed that in chat that some folks are asking, is this going to be recorded and shared? This is absolutely recorded. We are going to email everyone that registered a link to the final recordings. And then as always, it'll be posted on YouTube. You can find previous camp symposiums there. You can watch me blabbing away along with others from 2022, 2021, 2020. Keep going back, even folks that were before my time when we started this thing over 10 years ago. So yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope you all enjoyed it. There's a lot of information there, and stay connected. The Sketch app is once again available for you all to chat with one another. I notice it's pretty quiet in there. So if you have that app, feel free to join that. But thank you for spending this time. I love you all. I can't wait to see you in the dust. And my team is ready and willing and able to help you all. So if you have questions, always email placement@burningman.org or campsupport@burningman.org, and we'll get right back to you. And that concludes the 2024 Camp Symposium Plenary. Thanks all.